Hello and welcome back to Shelf Center. This is Bryce. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing. This is something I end up enjoying. You never know, it could happen. I think I said most of those words. Anyway, I am back from vacation, trying to figure things out. It's also why I might be a little late on some of these news items, but we're going to jump right into it, okay? First things first, George R. R. Martin, endless source of news because he's just been so productive with his writing, right? Anyway, he's been pretty active on his Not a Blog, which is actually a blog, spoiler alert. Anyway, there are new covers for the Song of Ice and Fire series, and I don't know what to think about them. In some ways, I'm like, this is awesome. I really, really like them. And in other ways, I'm like, it just doesn't, it's not fitting for the series. Like, I really like them as covers for something else, I think, is my problem. But for this series, it's like, I get what they're going with the animals that are featured in each one, and the giving of crows. Come on, like, be more cliche, right? But anyway, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it fits the series. It feels like it's more like, and I don't know why I can't put my finger on it, but it just feels like it's not exactly appropriate. But I don't hate them either. I kind of like them in some regards too. I guess for me, this is more of an adult series, and this kind of makes it more of like a children's kind of fantasy book series, which again, fantasy often just gets thrown in with, and maybe I don't know, have a chip on my shoulder about that or something, probably. But speaking of George, he also did a kind of addressing maybe some rumors or something that were started by some people. Definitely not me, because I'm not big enough to be able to start a rumor this big, but I did run with something that seemed like it was. But he was talking, he did on July 9th, his post, he talks about Winds of Winter. He typically does pretty regularly. I think he understands people are going on the blog to really check for how that's going. But he did make sure, he was very clear, there will be a big announcement when Winds of Winter is done. So don't jump on anything. He went and met with an agent in person, and everyone kind of went crazy. It wasn't even his words of wisdom posts that I was trying to really overwork, I think. But he did say that everyone's going to know about it. You're going to know about it, so don't just jump on anything. He says things, it doesn't mean he has some ulterior thing that he's meaning by the things he says on the blog, which is fair, which makes sense. All right, I'll jump ahead. Then I thought this was interesting news because it just kind of blew my mind, but here we are. You never know. Sun Eater, the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio. I've read the first book, Empire of Silence. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. I kind of took a break just to I felt like I was overwhelmed with the series that I've started and was trying to just finish and then jump into a new series. Now I'm at the point of probably need to reread the first book to get into the rest. But craziest news, because 2016 he signed with DAW Books, right? The fantasy publishers, you know, Rothfuss is just one of them, probably their biggest one. I would imagine. Signed with them, and I think the first book came out in 2018, Empire of Silence. It was a 4-book deal, and apparently 5 books were released, but then they weren't really willing to work. They weren't really willing to work with the author on, he kind of needed it to be 7 books. They wanted it to be done at 6 books. And then he kind of, either had to redo some stuff, and he explains this in a video. I'll link below. But it essentially ended up going, I got to go with a different publisher because this story needs to be told right, which I appreciate. I really appreciate as an author going, you know what? And I think part of it is this, and he explains it in the video. The series kind of suffered from COVID because it's all been being released during the time of COVID, where there's been huge issues with supply chains, paper, all this shortages, everything, you name it. And so that's going to slow that down and cause, publishers to kind of pull back and go, hey, we need shorter books. We need, less paper expended on this. It's much more expensive that way. So we went with Baen, published Disquiet Gods. So we went with Baen in 2023. And then just recently, DAW reacquired the rights to the Sun Eater series from Baen, and will be republishing now Disquiet God. So Rocky is looking on the bright side, like, hey, now we're back. It's all going to be one seamless cover, or size book and all that. I don't know. I never trust that. Even like publishers that publish a book series will always kind of change things by the last books. It's obnoxious. But I'm sure they suddenly were going, wait, this Rockio guy, he's making his way around on booktube and all kinds of things. Anyway, and maybe booktube doesn't have the sway that I think it does, but it does seem like his series has been talked about by a lot of very big creators, and it's good to see that. I've heard of other authors that I really love and respect and admire having issues with DAW. I just, it frustrates me, I guess, to say the least, that there's this lack of like trust or something, lack of like backing of their authors. I get it that it's a business, but there's also like it's people's like I don't know. I feel like there's just more. Like there needs to be a little bit more when it comes to publishing books and stuff, because it's like souls being published. I don't know if that makes any sense. Anyway, then he also had mentioned, okay, and then what's happening after Sun Eater? Well, he couldn't tell us much, but he did say that there is something coming. So something's in the work, of course. All right, then in other publishing news, Lightfall by Ed Crocker. It has a new cover. It's getting published January 2025, and by St. Martin's Press. This cover, I love it. I think it looks awesome. Crocker's been a pretty consistent commenter on the channel, so I always appreciate his insights. He's got a really, really great just knowledge of the genre, and so I'm excited to see his book there. The art is from Irvin Serrano, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I am very excited to see what Crocker's got here baking for us with this one. Again, because he submits to FanFi Addicts blog and all that, and just a lot of good knowledge, and I'm sure that will lend itself well to his published work. I'm very excited for. Then another cover, we're talking Dance of Shadows by Gaurav Mohanty, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Sequel to Sons of Darkness. Sons of Darkness you can't miss if you go into a Barnes & Noble, at least mine, and it's got those nice painted cover or painted edges. I honestly, I'll be honest, I'm a big fan. I think it's fun to see the painted edges on books, and as you can see, I don't know if you've walked through a grocery store or anything, or a Target or anything, you're seeing them a lot more. And speaking of which I think contributes, probably not all, but contributes some. I'm going with that. I'm holding to it. Book sales are up quite a bit in recent months, and I think this was watching Daniel Green's, getting caught up on my news from him, watching Daniel Green's latest news video, talking about how sales are up, and he's attributing it to adult fantasy, romantasy even, and again, also, which kind of is going hand in hand, the painted edges, right? Which obviously isn't doing all of it, but could be. I don't know, but I really like them. I think they look cool. It's funny though, because it makes it hard to what do you present, the pages or the actual spine? I don't know. It's like another conundrum. I guess you have to redo your bookshelf again. I mean, that's the only way, right? But speaking of romantasy, Rebecca Yaros's third book in the Fourth Wing series. That's really confusing with the numbers, by the way, Rebecca. But Onyx Storm, and it's got a cover. It's out anyway. I've heard a lot of good things. A lot of people I know even are liking it. I mean, it just seems like that. Hey, publishing is thriving. It's doing pretty well right now, and that's what's being pushed. I see whole shelves just kind of dedicated, even like in the middle of an aisle, to books, and I'm like, whoa, what is this? This doesn't happen. There was a time I would walk into like a Walmart or something, and it's like the books are like way in the back, and you have to go find the right aisle, and it's kind of by like the movies, but we'll give it like a little part of an aisle. But now it's like maybe it's going to get some more. I don't know. I'm loving it. All right, then fans of James S.A. Corey, which are the duo author of the Expanse series. It's going to be Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank. Ty Frank, who actually was the personal assistant of George R. Martin, if he's not still, could be, I don't know. Doing quite well, I think, on his own with publishing, so maybe not anymore. But there's a new series coming out. I've already talked about the new series a little bit, but there's a new a novella, it looks like, Live Suit. So anyway, if you know, especially I feel like Daniel Abraham is just like a workhorse when it comes to writing. He is constantly working on something. He'll be publishing as James S.A. Corey as well as on his own as Daniel Abraham. He's also got other pen names. He did MLN Hanover, I think, was his urban fantasy series, like constantly going. So I figured there'd be much more from James S.A. Corey as well as The Expanse did. So anyway, that's good news for fans of the James S.A. Corey, which is two people. All right, finally, and in book news, we're going to get into one bit of media news that I do have, which I'm very excited for. But in book news related, kind of, anyway, it seems concerning, and this was just brought up. I saw it on the Wirt Zone, which check out that blog. But, and again, I trust the Wirt Zone. I don't know about his source, but again, I trust that he's going to be using good sources. So anyway, this is what it is. It gives me concern. Neil Gaiman, two women have come out accusing him of sexual assault, one from back in 2005 and one much more recently in 2022. The most recent one seems to be a nanny, and he's going, it's consensual, and they're claiming obviously the opposite, and just concerning. You hate to see this, but the more I read like biographies and things like that, these like, I don't know, great men that we consider in the world, often something like this goes with it. And it's like one of the realities where I go, I want to disbelieve this. I want to desperately, and I hope it's wrong, and I hope he's right. You gotta, innocent until proven guilty, of course, but it's hard not to go, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and I think it goes the same with huge fame and all that stuff. I don't know. There's nothing. This is just the news that I'm reporting, and I hate to even report it. I feel even terrible reporting it, but I thought I would include the things that were interesting to me for this last couple weeks here. Then finally in one bit of media news, this is very exciting news for me, but because especially I just finished this book. Pierre Nisi is getting a movie. It's an animated movie, and it's very exciting because, again, Susanna Clarke, one of my favorites. I love Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I've loved Pierre Nisi now. I won't get into like the details of it, as I've said so many times now. It's just not worth it. You got to go in as blind as you can, and I firmly believe that, and I'm sticking to it, okay? But this is the director Travis Knight, who also did Kubo and the 10 Strings, which is a cool movie. Stop animation, what is it called? Vacation Freaking Brain, and but it'll be animated and maybe in the same style as Kubo and the 10 Strings, which I think was done just beautifully. I would like stare at, watch just the making of it, and it's so cool. So I think that's pretty good news. I think it's in good hands. It sounds like at least Pierre Nisi animated. It kind of makes sense. I was thinking it could also be done quite well live action. I think it's good news. I hope it does very well, and I will definitely be checking it out. It's such a cool book. Very interesting, and you should check it out. So anyway, don't forget to check out the Kindle Deals below in the description. They're affiliate links, so I do make a little bit off of each purchase. It's a very tiny amount. I don't even remember what it was, but it does support the channel. I'm an addict for deals. I know a lot of you out there are too, because I do talk to a lot of people that have been enjoying these deals, and I apologize for the lightening of your wallet due to them. But again, they're like $1.99 half the time. So what are you going to do? Anyway, thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.